everyone, it's Sam, aka Ocean Unknown, and welcome back to my channel. Well, today, I'm Wolfgang, the ultimate lawyer. Here's my card. This video is all about an incredible visual novel, Project Eden's Garden. I briefly mentioned that I'm a fan of this visual novel in my 2023 cosplay video, and for any of my subscribers who are fans of visual novels, specifically Danganronpa or murder mysteries, look into or play Project Eden's Garden. Everyone working on this project, from the directors to the lead artist to all of the amazing voice actors, have worked so hard to create an incredible game, so I encourage all of you to play, as it's free to play or watch a playthrough. As the prologue titled Chapter 0, Vows Woven Between Stitches and Needles, was released on December 16th, 2022, I have been thinking about what's going to happen next in the story, which is the topic of today's video. This video is my various predictions for Project Eden's Garden, specifically who could be running the killing game, the Mastermind. So, let's get into it! Before I explain my predictions, I'm going to explain a little bit about the characters and the plot of Project Eden's Garden. We play as Damon, an 18-year-old student given the title of the Ultimate Debater. Damon is invited to attend Eden's Garden Academy, a prestigious academy in the United States for those given ultimate titles. However, the invitation gets him and the 15 other recipients kidnapped by the masked Tozu and Mara. Their kidnappers reveal that they will be forced to participate in a killing game. As this visual novel is inspired by the Danganronpa series, there are two questions that linger in my brain. What's going to happen next? And most importantly to the concept of this video, who's behind this killing game? The directors of Project Eden's Garden have stated that they are not going to follow the common tropes of Danganronpa, such as Chapter 3 being a double murder or a muscular character dying in Chapter 4. I took this into consideration when considering my predictions for the Mastermind and the game as a whole. But now that we know the premise of Project Eden's Garden, it's time for me to reveal my 4 main ideas of who could be the Mastermind.
This is the start of my new life. The start of an even greater career.
Damon is completely different from the typical Danganronpa or death game protagonist. Rather than being insecure yet optimistic and hopeful, Damon is, dare I say, an asshole. He's arrogant, jaded, and extremely judgmental of others. Because of this drastic difference between Damon and the Danganronpa protagonists such as Makoto and Kaede, Damon is quite the suspicious character. While making predictions for all of the characters of Project Eden's Garden, Damon was one of the hardest to pin down. He could die first, as he isolated himself from his peers at the end of the prologue trial after basically telling them that most of them are useless to society. His little rant left his relationships with everyone except Eva Tsunaka, the ultimate liar, jaded, which makes him an easy target for murder. It's possible that someone might try to off him in order to stop him from doing something harmful to somebody else. However, Damon could also be a killer, the first one or final one to be exact. I could see him trying to claim that he's trying to stop the Mastermind for the good of everyone, but in reality he has his own self-interest above all else, leading to a protagonist switch with Eva most likely taking on the protagonist role. In addition to these ideas, Damon could also survive the killing game. As he has been set up as a narcissistic, close-minded jerk, this leaves room for a character arc. By the power of love, hope, and friendship, Damon could understand that non-academic talents are also important as they give people joy, as well as opening up about his vulnerability. In his character card, it says, such frequent confrontations left Damon isolated from his peers, further leading him down the path of ignoring others solely to train on his talent, with the hope that one day he will be admired by everyone for his skill. Huge emphasis on that last part. Also, at the end of the prologue trial, Damon is visibly insecure about his talent when Grace Madison, the ultimate golfer, asks him, what makes you so special? As he says that he can feel their words worming their way into his soul. Damon values his talent so much to the point that it's all he values in himself, which made him mean and arrogant, but he could possibly have a lot of insecurities about himself, which if he opens up about, could drive him to be hopeful and be able to put faith in others more. With my other ideas for Damon's character out of the way, let's talk about how he might be the one behind the Eden's Garden killing game. First off, all of the students of Eden's Garden Academy have an animal symbol somewhere on their designs, which many believe have something to do with their characters. Damon's animal is a snake, which is printed on his tie. For those of you who know the story of the Garden of Eden, you know where I'm going with this. Snakes have so much biblical symbolism, most notably in the story of Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden. For Adam and Eve, the snake in the paradise of the Garden of Eden represented the voice of temptation and sin. While researching for this video, I found that there's actually an ongoing debate on whether the snake was a form of Satan or not, with the serpent identifying as Satan in Revelation 12:9-22. But some Bible interpreters state that the voice of temptation and the devil are different. Honestly, this being a debate makes me more suspicious of Damon, as he's literally a debater. Anyways, in the story of the Garden of Eden, the snake tempts Eve into eating the forbidden fruit, an apple. Eve and later Adam give in to sin by biting the apple, which leads to the first humans feeling shame. God then punished them by casting them out of the garden. As the story of the Garden of Eden is where Project Eden's Garden gets its title, Damon's snake tie is no coincidence. The game also doesn't ignore Damon's snake tie, as it is directly referenced, whereas other characters' animal items like Grace's bunny visor are not mentioned. As the serpent in the Garden of Eden tempts humans into sin, Damon being the mastermind, giving people into committing murders through giving out motives or through his closed-minded attitude would make a lot of sense. His name also leaves a lot of suspicion for his true character. The simple answer is that Damon sounds a lot like demon, which while sounding too obvious and simple, is still associated with the Garden of Eden and committing sins. While Maitsu just means a systematic mind and serious, Damon is the English form of the Greek masculine name meaning to overpower, tame, subdue, or conquer. The overpower and conquer part are definitely the most convincing towards the mastermind theory, with the other meanings leaning more towards the character arc survivor idea I mentioned earlier. Along with that, the name Damon is notably in the Greek legend of Damon and Pythias, where they amaze Dionysus with loyalty and friendship. This points more to the character development for Damon Maitsu, but there is more evidence towards him being more of a nefarious character. As I mentioned previously, Damon only values people with talents that he deems beneficial to society, which are mostly academic-based talents. When Damon is given his invitation to Eden's Garden Academy, the invitation's wording pertains a lot to his talent and ideology. The invitation specifically calls Eden's Garden Academy a specialized college for academic-based talents in a world where anyone can be called ultimate, which fits Damon's mindset that academic skills are superior to others and that the ultimate title no longer has meaning as it's been given out to people he feels don't deserve it. When describing the curriculum of the college, the invitation says it is an ever-important proficiency of leadership, communication, and persuasion, which is oddly specific to Damon's talent as a debater. Now, if Damon were actually the mastermind of the Killing Game, why do I think would be his reason for creating it? I think hypothetically, the Killing Game would be a test created for him to show the superiority of academic talent such as his talent, with Tozu and Mara potentially viewing ultimates as useless. Despite this being one of my predictions, the amount of room for character development and delving deeper into Damon's character is so apparent that it deters me from thinking he's really the mastermind. For all of my predictions, I'm going to give them a possibility percentage. For Damon Maitsu, the ultimate debater, being the mastermind, I give this a solid 5.5 out of 10. Evidence is apparent in there, but this game could turn all of the snake symbolism on its head, the jerk could become the hero, and the snake in the grass could become the snake that bites back.
My friends and I have too much to live for and too much to achieve.
The next speculation is not my own, but it's probably the most common mastermind prediction I've seen across Project Eden's Garden predictions. And sadly, it's my favorite girl. Due to the impact of Danganronpa tropes, viewers of fan games or projects inspired by the series are often automatically suspicious of characters with talents related to beauty, fashion, and appearance, as there is a 2/3 precedent of a character with a fashion or beauty-based talent being the mastermind. Despite the Project Eden's Garden team stating that they're not following common Danganronpa tropes, viewers look to their distrusting eyes to Diana Venezia, the ultimate cosmetologist. The main evidence towards Diana being the mastermind is mostly in the precedent of ultimates with beauty-related talents being the mastermind, but there are other aspects of her character that are a little suspicious. First of all, her animal symbol is a chameleon, as seen on the silver bracelet on her right arm. Since chameleons can blend into their surroundings, many fans of Project Eden's Garden think that Diana would remain unsuspected throughout the game and then reveal herself as the mastermind. Next, her sweater vest has an emblem on it that looks almost identical to the Hope's Peak Academy crest from the Danganronpa series. Along with this, a huge part of the Killing Game is that it will be documented for the world to see, as stated by the summary plot by the directors. Diana works as the personal stylist for A-list celebrities and has worked on many Hollywood films, which makes her a little suspicious when it comes to the Killing Game being broadcasted. I give Diana Venezia, the ultimate cosmetologist, being the mastermind, a 5.5 out of 10 as well. All the evidence and valid suspicion is there. I'm gonna let my bias get in the way. I don't want Diana to be the mastermind because 1, everyone thinks she is, and 2, she's my favorite character and I will be sad if she's the mastermind.
Those who fail to learn from history are doomed to sound stupid when arguing on the internet.
I'm going into this chapter strong. This is a theory that I created with no assistance from speculations of others on the internet, and this is my favorite mastermind theory in this whole video. I would put bets on this theory, but I won't because if I'm wrong I will look stupid. Anyways, my favorite theory, the one I created, is that the mastermind of the Eden's Garden killing game is... Ulysses Wilhelm, the ultimate historian. You're probably thinking, Sam, huh? The guy whose whole personality is being sleep deprived? He's the mastermind? Yes. Now I can explain why. He's so suspicious. He's barely in the prologue, and all we as the audience know about him is that he's incredibly sleep deprived. He carries around a notebook with him to jot down any information for future reference. He works at a history museum directing the Cold War era exhibit, and he strongly believes the phrase, "If we do not learn from history, we are doomed to repeat it." Also, in the fanbase, he's one of the least talked about characters. However, by looking at the trailers, symbolism, and dialogue, the idea of Ulysses being the mastermind starts to be more plausible. Starting off, in the trailer for Project Eden's Garden, it says history repeats, which is a huge part of Ulysses' character. As far as his animal symbolism, his animal is an owl, shown by his owl feather necklace. In the media, owls symbolize wisdom, intelligence, and intuition, which are all fitting for a historian, but owls also often symbolize death. Lastly, this is my huge piece of evidence to why Ulysses could be the mastermind. So, you remember how I mentioned that Damon, our protagonist, only values academic and/or useful talents? You'd think that Ulysses as a historian falls under that category, right? Right? No. While Ulysses being a scholar is briefly acknowledged, Damon completely brushes him under the rug due to him writing notes. Even with an evidently academic and very useful talent, what Damon claims to praise more than anything, Damon quickly judges Ulysses for taking notes and is rude to him after his attempt to relate to modern internet humor. I think this evident neglect of Ulysses as a character with a beneficial academic talent is intentional. Ulysses' sleepiness and neglect for his health could possibly be an act so he isn't suspected and can fly under the radar, then reveal his evil plans in the final trial. I'm giving my own theory a 7 out of 10 because while I'm very proud of my theory, I'm still skeptical of whether Ulysses will be that important to the story. His lack of screen time in the prologue makes me believe he could last for a little bit, but I truly don't know how long a little bit could be. I mean, if we were following Danganronpa tropes, Ulysses would absolutely be the Chapter 3 killer, meaning he'd kill more than one person and then snap during the trial, going on some passionate rant. His rant would definitely be some hypocritical BS about history repeating itself, which would later feed into despair as he caused history to, well, repeat itself. However, I enjoy my theory, even if it's absolutely wrong, that Ulysses Wilhelm is the mastermind.
If there is a shred of innocence within you, I will find it.
While Ulysses being the mastermind was my own theory, I'm ending off with this one because, well, I'm cosplaying him right now. Wolfgang Acure, the ultimate lawyer, is suspicious as fuck. And yet again, he's my other favorite character. Other than Damon, Wolfgang, out of all the characters featured in this video, is most prevalent in the prologue. He's introduced very early on in the prologue, and Damon immediately takes a liking to him as his talent is scholarly and is more important to society according to Damon than other skills. Right away, the foils between Damon and Wolfgang hit the screen. When Damon is arrogant towards his peers, Wolfgang is kind and incredibly protective. It's very clear that Wolfgang is the main rival character and foil to Damon in the story, as Wolfgang and Damon have similar talents but drastically different personalities. Along with Damon, Wolfgang leads the conversation in the prologue's investigation and trial. During the trial, Wolfgang is composed and logical until suddenly Wolfgang's composure starts to crack when the idea of the victim not being a victim is brought up by Winona, the ultimate entrepreneur and the other rival character to Damon. After the students claim they've solved the case, Wolfgang raises his voice saying,
"No, we're not finished here. Do you turn in a half-finished exam, Winona? An essay without its conclusion? This isn't about efficiency, this is about being right. Or do you, a supposed entrepreneur, not value integrity?"
As the Ultimates discuss a potential motive, Wolfgang gets progressively angrier. Damon validates Wolfgang's feelings because of lawyers' intuition and how in a trial setting, the best person to trust is, the lawyer. Everyone shows their support for Wolfgang, which he really appreciates. After Tozu reveals that they're in a killing game, Wolfgang argues that no one will kill or abandon their morals, which he credits this feeling due to the fact that they're all Ultimates who are charged with the betterment of society, and to be above acts of self-interest. He motivates the students to not give in to ideas of killing, which angers Damon and Eva. This is what prompts Damon to go on his narcissistic rant about how certain talents are useless and others are superior. At the end of the trial, Wolfgang, the rival character, is loved, and Damon, the main character, is despised. All of this just makes Wolfgang even more suspicious. Similarly to Damon, Wolfgang's fate in the killing game is hard to pin down. Wolfgang could die first, as his altruism could make him a target for murder, or his talent as a lawyer in a trial system could make him a threat. He could also be a killer, likely the first or a very late game chapter. It could be an interesting plot twist for the incredibly justice-driven, altruistic character to be the first to kill, or he could become morally corrupt throughout the story, leading him to murder. Even Damon says in the prologue trial, he'd understand the criminal mind in ways we can't possibly imagine about Wolfgang, which could point at Wolfgang killing someone. He is also a crucial part of the story as a rival character, so he has a moderate chance for survival. Now that those speculations are out of the way, let's discuss Wolfgang potentially being the mastermind. Wolfgang could be the mastermind simply because he has the skills to create an elaborate scheme like a killing game. As shown by his talent and his tactics in the prologue trial, his persuasion skills are strong, so he's probably able to manipulate people very well. His altruism and want for justice could also be a front, with him secretly being morally corrupt and passionate about this killing game. He's also a Libra-Scorpio cusp, which is very interesting as he holds a scale in his picture, a symbol of law and order, but also the astrological symbol for Libra. As he's also a Scorpio, he's definitely hiding something. However, the most important piece of evidence towards Wolfgang being not what he seems is his animal symbolism. His animal is a sheep, shown by his pin on his suit. In the Bible, sheep are often used to represent community and gentle affection, also referring to Jesus as the Lamb of God. With the biblical themes in Project Eden's garden, this symbolism is also likely intentional. While the gentle affection and community fit Wolfgang's personality, look at his freaking name! You could say he's a Wolfgang in sheep's clothing. I'll stop. While there is some evidence towards Wolfgang being the mastermind, I don't fully believe it. I give Wolfgang Akire, the ultimate lawyer, being the mastermind, a 4 out of 10. Not only do I think it would be a little too obvious, but like Diana, he's my favorite character. Listen, I love evil characters. Even if Diana or Wolfgang are the mastermind or become evil, I still like them. Speaking of Wolfgang becoming evil, I have another theory about Wolfgang. A huge mystery around his character is how, to many of the characters, he looks too young to be a lawyer, even though he is 22 years old, being the oldest person in the cast of characters. He also has a very strong sense of justice and altruism, which is very emotion-based and in the prologue comes off very black and white. He is also very outwardly protective over his peers, especially during stressful times. Oftentimes when emotions and morals are as passionate in black and white as Wolfgang's in the prologue trial, it is often due to personal experience or projection. My theory is that Wolfgang committed a crime and got away with it, which somehow caused him to get more recognition in his law firm, which helped him earn the title of ultimate lawyer. Afterwards, Wolfgang felt immense guilt and now aspires to catch any criminal and hates injustice. This could mean that he committed a crime and investigated it better than anyone because he did it, or he caused something bad to happen in his law firm to boost his reputation. No matter what he did or didn't do, Wolfgang is still so suspicious. So, those were my mastermind predictions for Project Eden's Garden. These could absolutely be wrong, but they could also be right, so we'll have to see. For those interested in Project Eden's Garden, please consider playing it or watching a playthrough and stay updated on the project. If you liked this video, don't forget to subscribe to this channel, turn on the bell for notifications, and give this video a thumbs up. For fans of Project Eden's Garden, comment down below what are your predictions for the story. For those who are unfamiliar with it, which was your favorite theory in this video? See you all in the next video. Thank you so much.